Consider a common scenario that happens in most of our states. Let us say an assembly election is held in a year. Later the state goes to the local body and panchayat polls in another 1-2 years' time. But by the time this ends, the preparations for Lok Sabha begins again. This creates a near continuous election cycle where political parties and the administration are continuously engaged in election-related activities. Where is the time for growth? Where is the time for stability? Where is the time for economic prosperity? For instance, if a state had assembly elections in 2021, local body polls in 2022, and then the national elections in 2024, the focus on consistent governance is inevitably diluted. The opposition also engages mostly in electoral strategies and electioneering and giving only limited attention to fighting for the public causes. India is in a constant state of election preparedness. Political parties are almost in a campaign mode, and that is not a good sign of healthy democracy. On average, it is reasonable to say that the elections to the legislative assemblies of at least 4 to 6 states are held every year. With thousands of panchayats and municipalities across the country, elections at this level are a continuous process happening in different parts of the country almost every year. The ruling parties, instead of focusing solely on governance and policy implementation, ruling parties are constantly strategizing for the next election. In the election, ஜெயிச்ச உடனே அடுத்த எலெக்ஷனுக்கு prepare பண்றோம். Formulating populist measures and deploying their leaders for campaigns. This can sometimes lead to policy decisions being influenced by electoral considerations rather than the genuine needs of the people. And the opposition's primary focus often becomes attacking the ruling party and preparing for the next election. Constructive criticism and collaboration on policy matters can take a backseat to political maneuvering and electioneering. And we are going for short-term gains for a long-term risk. And diversion of valuable government resources. Besides time and cost, election means for a huge administrative machinery and logistics, a large number of government employees, including civil servants, police personnel and teachers are involved in election duty, diverting from their regular duties, maintaining law and order, requires additional security forces, and including army. We have become the most expensive democracy in the world. 2024 Indian general elections have emerged as one of the most expensive exercises globally. According to the estimates by the Center for Media Studies, the election cost approximately 16.3 billion, surpassing the roughly 15.9 billion spent on 2024 US presidential election. Furthermore, we consider the cumulative cost of state assembly, municipal and panchayat elections. The financial burden on the Indian economy is substantial, diverting significant resources. So, if we could, the Ramnath Kovind Committee's report suggesting that by implementing one nation, one election could potentially lead to a 1.5 increase in India's GDP, translating to roughly 4.5 lakh crores. If GDP increases, there will be a change in every common man's life. This represents a significant opportunity. This amount could be utilized to create vital infrastructure, build highways, invest in healthcare, education, raise the standard of living for millions of our countrymen. This potential economic gain highlights the urgent need to revisit one nation, one election and reclaim the sources we have been losing for decades. Opposition சொல்லிட்டே இருப்பாங்க. This would challenge the regional parties leadership. This would harm the federal structure. And I give a very right example for this. Where I come from, Andhra Pradesh, there is always simultaneous elections. In between, our 10 varshathilla, but in between after that, from post-freedom to till date, we have simultaneous elections apart from few 1 or 2 decades. Till recently, till the last elections, we had parliament and we had assembly. Nothing has changed. There were times national parties had lost, and it's more, the recognition is more for regional parties. There were times Congress had lost, TRS came in Telangana. There were times BJP had lost, and Telugu Desam or some other parties came. It's always, so there is no strength in this argument. It doesn't hold any water. And people also have become, if you look at Odisha elections in 2019 and 2024, if you look at the Odisha example, people opted for the regional party in Odisha, and they opted for parliament for center, for BJP. So we are questioning the people's integrity. We are questioning the people's smartness. It is people who decided to be here. It is not us. It is not political leaders. One nation, one election is the will of the people of this country. We, all the political leaders should be, who is opposing it, should be aware of it.